Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ। ਸਲੋਕ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਨੌਵਾਂ। ਗੁਣ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਗਾਇਓ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜਨਮ akaarath ਕੀਨ। ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਹਰ ਭਜ ਮਨਾ, ਜਿਹ ਬਿਦ ਜਲ ਕੋ ਮੀਨ। ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਹਰ ਭਜ ਮਨਾ, ਜਿਹ ਬਿਦ ਜਲ ਕੋ ਮੀਨ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we've just heard the Bani of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, Sache Padshah, which is often referred to as Pogande Salok, and Guru Sahib Ji Pacha Ji themselves have named it Salok Mehalla Noma. And it starts off with the Mangla Charan of Ek Oankaar Satgur Prasaad. But just before we go through the translation of this beautiful Bani of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha, what is it that is within this Bani? What does it consist of? Within this Bani, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji, they speak of those that are engrossed in the world, that are stuck in Maya, in this illusionary world. But also Maharaji mention in this Bani, make a mention of those in this Bani that have become one with that one, have become one with the source of where we have all come from. And Pacha Ji say how they have become one as well, by meditating and by reciting God's name, and they have become immersed in that one. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji throughout this Bani will awaken us or remind us of death. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji will constantly tell us to wake up and think about why this life has been given to us. When was this Bani added? Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Sache Padshah Ji, in 1706 in Sabo Ki Talwandi in Damdama Sahib, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji, off by memory, Kantho Jado Gurbani Uchari Sari Guru Gobind Singh Ji ne, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji recited all of Gurbani off by memory, at that point Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji added the Bani of their Pita, of their father, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Padshah Ji. So Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji start off with the Mangla Charan, Ek Oankaar Satgur Prasaad. So Ek here can be translated to that one where everything has come from. There was that time, there was that summer when there was no creation, nothing had come into being, when it was only the formless. But from that formless came that sound Oang, which Guru Sahib Ji talk about in their Bani as well. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji, Kita Pasao, Eko Kavao, Tiste Hoye, Lak Daryao. Kavao means from the one word came the whole entire creation. That sound still remains today, that primal sound. It is that energy, it is that power of Akal Purkh Ji today that is sustaining everything. Today that brings everything to an end. That still sound remains today, that is creating today as well. And that cycle keeps going, and that is what we know as this creation. Kar means, comes from the word lagatar. When something is consistent, when something is continuous, and it's saying that Vaheguru, that one where everything has come from, all the creation, from the trees that we see, from all the five elements that we see before our eyes, what we are made out of, whether it be our thoughts, our organs, everything, where everything has come from, Kar, that one is immersed within its creation and is constant and stable and is unchanging. The form is constantly changing, but the formless is always the same. And Padshah Ji says, Satgur Prasaad. And Satgur Prasaad, what that means is, how can that truth be realized? because the truth is we want to connect to that formless that is unchanging and realize even the form is that one, just a manifestation of that one. How do we realize that ultimate truth? Gur Prasaad is only through the Guru. The Guru is that one that knows that one and is immersed with that one and has the ability to take our hand and take us back to that one. Prasaad. Prasaad means with his grace. Only with surrendering and with the grace of that enlightened Satguru can we realize that one and experience eternal happiness and bliss, which Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji is now going to bring light to us in this Bani. Salok Mehalla Nawa. So this Bani has been recited by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji in sloks. So a slok is a poetic measure which is in couplets. So we'll have two pangtiyan. Pangti literally means line. So to each slok we'll have two lines and which will also rhyme as well. So the last words we'll see will often rhyme, and that's what a salok is. We can also look at the actual akaarath, the literal translation, and break this word up as well. Salok. So the sa can be translated to that, and then lok can be translated to world. These are those sloks, those couplets that can take us to that lok, to that place, to that formless, where that ek, where Vaheguru Ji, where true peace and bliss actually sits. So it takes us to that place. Thir kar baiso har jan pyare, that stable place. Mehalaa, and the Shabd Mehalaa, beautiful Shabad. And if we look at our Kosh, the dictionaries of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pacha Ji's words, and the one by Veer Singh Ji has done beautifully in there, he's described that the word Mehalaa has many translations, but one translation of Mehalaa comes from the word Mehl, meaning istri, meaning bride, and happily married bride. So Guru Sahib Ji here referring to themselves as this bride that is serving that one, that Akal Purkh Ji, like a bride would serve her husband. And they're saying that I am your bride, Mehalaa, and then the number will always go after, and they're saying Mehalaa Noma. This is now the 9th form of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sache Padshah Ji. Jot Uha Jugt Saye Sehkaya Fer Palatiye. It's always the same light, it's just the body that changes. So Salok Mehalla Nova. Gun Gobind gaaeo nehee, janam akaarath keen, kahu naanak har bhaj manaa, jeh bidh jal ko meen. So if we just take a literal translation first of these lines. So Pacha Ji first of all is saying Gun Gobind gaaeo nehee, those that have not sung the praises of Gobind, of God. Gobind is another name for God, and that can be split up as well to go, meaning the tarti, the earth, and bind also can be translated to a seed, that primal seed that everything has come from, this earth has come from, being Vaheguru Ji themselves. And Vind can also be translated to the one that is all-knowing. So the one that has created this earth is all-knowing because that one is immersed in this creation. So Gun Gobind gaaeo nehee, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji saying, those that have not sang the praises of God, then they say, Gun Gobind gaaeo nehee janam. Janam means life. Akaarath, keen. Keen means they have made their life. What? Akaarath. The word akaarath comes from the word arth. Arth means meaning. And it's saying akaarath, negating the word, and it's saying that your life is meaningless. Meaning that you have wasted your life. So the literal translation here, Pacha Ji saying that those that have not sung the praises of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji have wasted their life. And then they say, Kahu naanak har bhaj manaa. And this might sound like Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji is almost like lecturing us and saying to us that you must do this, but we'll look at that a little bit deeper. Why Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji saying to us, Kahu naanak. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji saying that har bhaj manaa. They're saying, oh my mind, manaa, har bhaj. Bhaj means meditate. Har is another name for God, and it's saying har bhaj manaa, oh my mind, meditate upon God. And this is how Then Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji give us a jugti, give us a way how to do that. Jehe, just like bidh, jehe bidh jal ko meen. Jal means water, and then meen means fish. Meen comes up many times in Gurbani. So when we learn this one word meen now, we know it means fish. Jehe bidh jal ko meen. Just like the fish has that love for the water, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji parches it in that very way, then love Vaheguru Ji. So that is the literal translation of the first two pangtiyan. And what we've just done is we've actually translated we've done some pad arth as well. We've taken some of the words from these pangtiyan and broken them down for us to have a deeper understanding when we read other parts of Gurbani. Why did Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji use the example of a fish? Why is Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji here specifically talking about singing the praises of God? This is what we want to try and understand a little deeper now. Gun Gobind gaaeo nehee, janam akaarath. So we've got janam. Janam means life. We all know that this life, that our breaths are limited. That one day they are going to come to an end, just like Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji in Bavan Akhri tell us that naanak le sab divas saas nehee ghatan badan til sar. They're saying that these breaths, naanak le, they're limited. Ngan means to count. We've been sent here with a limited amount of breaths. One day they're going to come to an end. But before those breaths come to an end, we want to make this life of worth. So what Pacha Ji is saying here, we may have accumulated a lot of things within this world, a lot of worldly possessions. We might be successful on that worldly level. But Pacha Ji is saying, but if you haven't sang the praises, your life is a waste. It doesn't matter how far and how much we have achieved. It's actually irrelevant. Because what does it mean here that we don't sing God's praises? It means that we don't live in appreciation. And often we take the mantra that is given to us by a guru, Vaheguru, and when we say Vaheguru, but we still might not be living in appreciation, meaning that we haven't actually sung the praises. And saying Vah means that we appreciate everything that God has given. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, remember, we're saying that it's not here an instruction in the sense of like a lecture telling us off, but it's actually for our own benefit, for our own good. It's us that is going to benefit. Let's just take one example before we move on. If we think of it in this way, everything that one has provided, if we look at the sun, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha Ji, every morning they get us to appreciate the sun. That is praising God. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pacha says Namo. Namo means to bow down. And then we bow down and in appreciation. We don't physically bow down. We don't worship the sun, but we're appreciating the elements. We're saying Namo Surj Surje, that you are the son of suns, that the one that lights the sun. Imagine if he didn't give light to the sun, we wouldn't have any energy. We wouldn't have any light. We wouldn't be able to survive. It's awakening that sometimes we get so stuck in what we haven't got, we forget to remind ourselves of we have no power over these things. It's that one that is in control of everything. It's awakening and living in appreciation. When we live like that, it's been proven. When we thank constantly, we'll start to feel at peace. So that's what it means. Gun Gobind, gaaeo nehee, janam akaarath. Our life will be a waste. We'll live in absolute misery if we don't praise and appreciate what that one is doing and how that one is powering everything. Sangat Ji, then now Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha Ji, they give us that amazing way. And the word here, bhaj, manaa, meditate. And even though there may not be the perfect words in English for us to describe these particular words, but we've got many different terminologies Guru Sahib Ji use, and Guru Sahib Ji don't always use them accurately in that sense. They can be used loosely as well. They might use jap, they might use simran, they might use here like they're saying bhaj here. So Guru Sahib Ji used the word save as well, and we often think save just means service, but save can also mean to meditate or to remember as well. Bhaj, the difference between here jap and bhaj. Jap is that first initial step that someone takes to make that effort. And we all know when we first make that initial step and effort to read Gurbani, it might not seem as sweet. Amrit Bani, har har teri, sun sun hove, parmagat meri. Even though it's described as Amrit, so sweet, it's nectar, but we find it difficult. We start reading Japji Sahib first time and it's like, oh, this is such difficult work. We start japping, reciting Naam, we sit there and we say Vaheguru, Vaheguru, but we don't have no connection, no taste. But that's the first initial step of jap. But then we bhaj. Bhaj means when we start to feel that little bit of ras now. Things are changing. Ras means we're feeling that juice now, feeling that connection now. Now we're thinking, I can feel something. Something's happening. Something's starting to feel sweet. I want more of this. That shakkar, khand, nivat, gud, makhyo, manja, dud, sabbe vastu mithiyan, rab na pujan tudd. It starts to feel sweet. That's bhaj. Takes effort to get there. Kahu naanak har pajana, jehe bidh jal ko meen. Now Bhaji uses the example of a fish. Let's have a little look at the fish. For a fish, the life of a fish is that water. Why? Because the fish takes its oxygen from that water. That water passes and it's taken in through the fish's mouth. And then it's pushed through the gills of that fish. So how does the fish take oxygen from the water? Because the water is its life. Just like air, we take oxygen from the air and that is our source of life. Without that, we have no life. And without that water, it couldn't take that oxygen. Without that oxygen, it could not survive. Sometimes we might think, start having all these thoughts, does the fish even know it's in water? But the fish knows one thing, that moment it's removed, it's taken out, we'll see how that fish starts to suffer, how it starts to flip around and move. Why? Because it's been starved of oxygen now, because it can only take in that oxygen from the water. And that fish knows it needs water. It will do anything it wants to now get back there, because the fish knows it's been taken away from its source of life. That water is surrounding that fish everywhere. That fish is in the water. Guru Sahib Ji is reminding us, in that same way, we are in Vaheguru Ji. And in that same way, like that fish is taking that water inside, and that water is inside of the fish as well, that just like the water being inside of the fish, Vaheguru Ji is inside of us as well. We may not know this, we may not have realized this, but Bhaji is saying that Khalik Khalak Khalak Mehl Khalak Pura Rahyo Sarab Thai. This is a shabd of Guru Bhagat Kabir Ji. They're saying that Khalik Khalak. Khalik means the provider of life, the one that has created everything. Khalik Khalak. And Khalak is the creation. It's saying that Khalik Khalak, that Khalik, the creator, is within the creation. It's inside. And then Bhaji says Khalik Khalik Mehl Khalik. This says, but also that the creation is within Vaheguru Ji. So it's outside and inside. Pura Rahyo Sarab Thai. It's poured. Vaheguru Ji is poured everywhere. So in that way, Vaheguru Ji is present all the time, but we may not realize that. And Bhaji is saying the purpose of this life is to realize that Vaheguru Ji and make that connection. If we make that connection, Sangat Ji, that's the only time we're going to actually get to experience and feel that true peace. Just like somebody's living in a house and they're going through poverty, got no money to eat, to dress, and somebody comes along one day to them and tells them, you've been living in poverty for so long, within your own house, if you dig this ground, you'll find that there's money, there's gold, there's treasure hidden underneath this ground. That person starts to dig and they find there's treasure there. All that time they've lived in poverty and thought it was here all that time. And in that same way, that connection, that naam is already inside of us. Bhaji Ji tell us that Nonid Amrit Prabh ka naam dehi mein iska bisram. Bhaji Ji say within the house of ourself, that Amrit, that naam is already there. But how do we get to that naam? How do we dig? What is that shovel we need? We need to first start off with using this tongue to recite God's name, taking that time out, early hours of the morning, and sitting and calling out and having that berag and having that want to connect. And eventually it will take us to the inside treasure and it'll become this meditation for us and the connection for us. Just like that fish will die without that ocean, without that water. And truly we are dying without realizing Vaheguru, that ocean of Vaheguru that is there, that is the source of everything. Without that, nothing would be working. And without having the realization of that one, we are actually already living dead. Padshah Ji give many examples of fish within Gurbani. They say, "Toon daryao dana bina main machli kaise ant laha." They're saying, "Oh Vaheguru Ji, toon daryao, you are like the ocean. You are everywhere. Toon daryao dana, you know everything." Vaheguru Ji knows everything about us. And that is how we start to fall in love with Vaheguru, knowing that there's nothing that can escape that one. Living in that love-filled fear that whether it be outside, my actions that I do with this physical body, whether it be a thought within inside of myself, I cannot escape that one. There is a law to thoughts. There is a law to action. But instead of it being negative, I start to fall in love. Like that fish, I start to realize this is my life, my source of life. Bhavan Guru, just like Padshah Ji said, that the Guru, the highest thing for our body is breath. Without breath, we cannot survive. And then Padshah Ji here is saying, "Toon daryao dana," you all knowing, bina, and you're all seeing, you're able to see everything. Nothing escapes your eyes. "Toon daryao dana bina main machli," but I'm like this little fish. Main machli kaise ant laha, how can I ever know your limit, that you are so great, Vaheguru Ji. But as I meditate, as I find that connection with you, as I follow the Guru and start to connect to you, live in appreciation and meditate, then Padshah says, "Jeh dekha," then wherever I see, even though you was already there, but now I realize you are the Jeh dekha, teh tu hai, then I realize you are there, you are antar, you are inside, bahar, you are outside. That one Prabhu is everywhere. That Jeh dekha, teh tu hai, tujh te niksi foot mara. And I now realize that if I come out of meditating on you, if I come out of singing your praises, and if I think I'm the karta, if I think I'm the doer, Sangat Ji, if I click my fingers and say to myself, sleep, I won't fall asleep because there's somebody else in control. It's his law how I can even fall asleep. So how much am I in control? Guru Sahib Ji is awakening us, giving this beautiful example. Jeh dekha, teh tu hai, tujh te niksi foot mara. I will realize I am dying without having the realization of you and living consciously. So Padshah Ji saying that Jeh dekha, teh tu hai, tujh te niksi foot mara. Foot means to burst. And every time I come out of you, I'm bursting and I'm dying. That when I don't live in acceptance, when I don't live in appreciation, when I get caught up in duality, only in duality is it that I start to see that there's me, there's you. Then I start hatred, I start nindya, I start all of these things that we're going to look at in the next salok, which will relate to bhikhyan se kahe rachyo. What is bhikhya? What is poison for us, and how we are actually killing ourselves. And then Padshah Ji just finishing off saying that jo machli bin pani hai, kyo jeevan paave, that how can the fish live without water? How can this being, this human being, live without realizing and being in appreciation of that one that we have come from? And Sache Padshah Ji, do kirpa on us that we're able to awaken from inside, and like that ocean is the absolute breath of life for that fish, that we realize that Vaheguru Ji is the breath of life for us, and that's where true happiness lies. So Padshah Ji, kirpa karan, itniyak bentiya parwan, please forgive me for my mistakes, and hopefully we can start connecting to this Bani on a deeper level. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Vaheguru